Yeah, they said he was suicidal, and he started talking about he want to bring a Bible with him or some shit.
Yes, you heard properly. Let's go into the turmoil of the courtroom. I have all the details. It was meant to be just that, from fearless to done. It just got serious, and Foolio's killers are losing it. After receiving a harsh punishment, one of them passed out in court, while the others, well, let's just say, lost their composure. The real question, though, is whether the life sentence was the only thing that broke them. Rumor has it that their terrified Fio's people are inside, ready to take care of business. Even the bailiff was taken aback by what happened in that Florida courtroom on a humid June morning, however, as one of Foolio's killers slumped, going limp and collapsing to the courthouse floor as soon as he heard the words "life without parole." Another co-defendant stared blankly at the wall as if he realized for the first time that he would never breathe outside air again after his mother yelled. The defendant wailed, and most shocking of all, the person suspected of pulling the trigger tried to. In a case when the death penalty is involved, he should fire his lawyer and take the case alone. You have it right. A man facing death thought he would be his own best defense in a courtroom designed to bury him alive. But first, you need to understand what they did and why it has shaken the Florida court system before we show you the actual breakdown of a killer. Julio Foolio's birth, Charles Jones, a well-known and feared rapper in Jacksonville, was also someone's son. On June 22nd, he was in Tampa and was merely trying to celebrate his birthday by later. Police made surveillance video of the entire incident public. With weapons in hand, sighted and ready, 3 shooters scuttled across the parking lot and fired without hesitation. He was assassinated in the early hours of June 23rd outside a hotel in a planned ambush by 3 men who allegedly tracked his every move on GPS and social media. There were at least 31 bullets in his automobile.
Look at this video. This is at the hotel, and you can see the shooters are getting in position for their planned out murder, and they are shooting at Charles now, and you can see that he's the passenger in that car that's moving and trying to flee. And again, they're still shooting at him. He's the right front passenger in that vehicle.
These suspects were careful, had watched Foolio's activities, and were not seasoned crooks. Alicia Andrews, a young lady who was pregnant at the time, was accused of following Foolio from club to club that night, sending reports to her group via text, much like a military spotter. Another was supposedly his ex-girlfriend.
4 guys, 1 girl. The girl's pregnant currently,
No.
which makes it even crazier. One of the guys, when they were arresting him, I guess he had a gun to his head. Did you hear this whole story?
Yeah, they said he was suicidal, and he started talking about he want to bring a Bible with him or some shit.
The state stated that it is considering the death penalty in this instance, so it is not playing around. The members of this group, who are between the ages of 18 and 30, are charged with carrying out one of the most well-known rape killings in recent history. Some of them could be put to death, and their trial is still.
These are all signs that things are gonna go very bad for them. Like, you got a girl in it, she's pregnant, he's suicidal, wants a Bible. It's not going good.
Not going good for who?
For the killers.
At this point, things get even more depressing. One of the principal defendants, Rashad Murphy, had his lawyer fired after he requested to represent himself in a case involving first-degree murder that might have resulted in a death injection. Murphy continued to do so, despite warnings from the court and his lawyer. In a strange twist, Murphy also wanted to have his lawyer removed and pleaded for a swift trial. Additionally, the same man had handwritten correspondence with because he was being treated as if he had already been found guilty and was not allowed to telephone, write, or prepare for his own defense. The judge pleaded for access to court records. Some believe it was a ruse, while others believe it was a man already crumbling under the weight of his actions. Murphy may be spiraling as a result of the.
Well, it's not like they're going to get off for this.
No, they got so much evidence against them. Like, when you go through it, you can pretty much just, all right, pick a prison. Where do y'all want to go? It's just not, you can't even come up with a defense for them.
Data from their phones that tracked each trip and ring camera footage of the suspects loading firearms into duffel bags, Foolio developed bullet casings from the murder, scene that matched weapons found in the suspects' homes, and text exchanges between suspects discussing the crime in advance.
They found bullets in that kid's house. They found one of the murder weapons. They found bullets matching from the shooting scene. This kid kept collectibles from the case, like mad inside of his house.
Prosecutors revealed all of this in court and won. Of the defendants sitting a few steps away from Foolio's subset mother fainted. It is impossible to determine whether it was fear, shame, or the realization that he would be spending his entire life in a concrete box. But one thing is certain, the walls are closing in. Witnesses reported that he fell out of his chair, shivering, and muttered, "I can't breathe." A camera was not allowed to record the incident directly. Consider this for a moment. It's not only about rap feuds gone wrong or gang revenge. It's also about how the internet made murder into virality, where insulting dead competitors is just a way to get streams. And distraught mothers search YouTube and find songs that mock the death of their children. A defendant may have unwittingly exposed everyone because he desired social media status. And the evidentiary trail is far more devastating than anyone could have predicted. Others ultimately did it to him after Foolio had done it to others. 6 people have lost their futures as a result of this toxic culture. 1 is dead. 5 might never be freed from prison. And 1 is pregnant with a child who might grow up seeing their mother through glass. How did we get here? Foolio's murder, according to prosecutors, was not a last-minute decision, but rather a well-planned strike that started at home long before they arrived and involved strong firearms, multiple vehicles leaving town, and synchronized monitoring. Among the suspects in the Tampa movie was Rashad Murphy. In a quiet neighborhood, Davian Murphy and Sean Gathite were seen loading bags big enough to conceal firearms on their own security camera. At least 2 assault-style guns were later found in the luggage.
We have evidence of the defendant's co-defendants very clearly meeting at Sean Gathite's house on his video camera, where they are loading up big bags that are definitely big enough to hold these assault rifles that were used in this case.
Most disturbing details, according to investigators, was that lookouts Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews, who were pretending to be friends, were following Foolio everywhere he went, from the club to the after-party and finally to the hotel where he was killed. As he shared videos of his birthday celebration on Instagram, Foolio effectively live broadcast.
Jones was in town celebrating his birthday and posted on his social media his locations several times throughout that night. Surveillance video was critical in this investigation, as suspects were seen on video following Jones from location to location.
a.m. 3 of the gunmen, who had been waiting across the street before the car pulled into the hotel, stepped out and walked toward the house and 2 suites with a handgun and 2 rifles. After that, they fired 31 shots into Foolio's SUV. The other 3 people in the automobile managed to survive the impact.
This barrage of gunfire also struck 3 additional victims who miraculously survived this incident. It's clear from that video what they were set out to do and what they had planned to do.
What would inspire someone to take the wheel? 5 teens, one of them was pregnant when she planned and executed an execution-style killing on a public street, according to prosecutors and police. Conventional street retribution served as the driving force. One of the gunmen reportedly had a brother named Spaz, who had been killed by someone in Foolio.
I don't think he had nothing to do with the murder though.
No, I mean, it's actually pretty ugly what happened, because one of the suspects, their brother, Spaz, was allegedly killed by one of Foolio's friends.
Yeah.
Foolio rapped about him, and I believe there's a video of him urinating on his grave.
There's multiple videos of Foolio dissing this guy.
Not only did Foolio rap about it, but he also mocked it in videos, such as one that showed someone peeing on Spaz's grave, which is a declaration of war rather than art, with firearms, ammunition, burner phones, and a plan. These 5 set off for Tampa without a diss track. The issue is that they were not astute enough to hide the evidence. In fact, they effectively handed it over to the police. As we review the list, we can see that Alicia Andrews' phone was tracked from Jacksonville to Tampa, matching every location that Foolio visited. One of the suspects even kept shell casings, bullet fragments, and mementos in his house after the murder. Night license plate scanners picked up the vehicles used in the ambush, and video from within the hotel filmed the suspects before and after the shooting. His text messages showed a joyful mood, including one that said, "I'm coming home. My thirst is finally..."
They were caught on license plate cameras. He used his mama's car. His mama said, "I had that car, then my son had it."
They were so cocky. Murphy, in particular, left his phone at home and used everyone else's because he believed he could beat the system. Then, in his boldest action to date, he requested to be represented in court. Murphy insisted that the detention conditions denied him a fair chance to prepare, despite his attorney telling the judge that this was crazy. He invoked the defense of insanity in November. But the caveat is that you cannot use this argument if the evidence shows that you murdered someone with deliberate planning, which is the precise reverse.
I think this guy's nuts. I think that's why. I mean, he wants to defend himself, which is insane in a death penalty case. And then he actually has said that he may use an insanity defense, which also is insane in itself when the facts show otherwise, that these guys had meticulous planning and attempts to cover up crime. And when you have that, good luck in getting an insanity defense, because to sustain an insanity defense, you have to have an established medical condition and you have to not know the difference between right and wrong. But when you meticulously plan and then try to cover up your tracks, that shows you knew the difference between right and wrong. It shows you knew what you did was illegal. And when you want to just try to put forward an insanity defense as your own lawyer, it doubles the level of difficulty.
Murphy's defense may already be dead when he arrives. And if he insists on defending himself, he may implicate his co-defendants in public court. Which is why those close to the other suspects are in a panic. Since Alicia Andrews is the only suspect who has not given up her right to a speedy trial, legal experts speculate that she might be working with the prosecution. This makes sense because she is young, pregnant, and might want to see her child grow up. But if she tosses the dominoes, the story doesn't stop there. When the prosecution placed their cards on the table inside their cell house collapse, it became clear that someone had spoken, and preliminary rumors in the courtroom resulted in a single name. Several legal experts saw Alice Andrews' wish for a speedy trial as a warning shot or a sign of cooperation, in contrast to the men suspected of pulling the bullet. Andrews was only 21 years old and pregnant at the time of the murder. Andrews was accused of...
And they just recently did it where the girl isn't waiving her right to a speedy trial, and they believe she's gonna cooperate.
Right. Actually, one of my members, Kilcon RL, mentioned that. He said Alicia Andrews, who's the girl who's pregnant, she asked for a speedy trial, but the other three waived that. So yeah, I guess that means she's cooperating now.
Not only did the court documents seal the deal, though. Shortly after her arrest, Andrews provided police with a thorough interview, which she acknowledged being present and verified their travels throughout Tampa. She gave more than enough details to place her crew in the precise spot that prosecutors...
The girl, she gave an interview with police right when she got picked up. So she's already spoke to them and confirmed, oh yeah, we were here.
It doesn't end with Alicia. The court permitted the inclusion of prior gang-related homicides as acceptable evidence, expressly to demonstrate motive in a ruling that has stunned defense attorneys. Even while Andrews did not shoot, she served as a contemporary recon, assisting the murderers in tracking their victim both electronically and physically. It resembles something directly from a military mission, but it is far less rational.
I do find, generally speaking, that this is evidence that does help create motive and intent and explain the crimes charged.